Hi guys, so I came up with this challenge in order to kind of improve my sculpting skills and just to do something fun to get kind of inspiration for myself. And the general idea is I have this book, the Encyclopedia of Mythological Creatures. Here it is. And the idea is I would take the monsters from it, put them in a list, and then I use a random number generator to pick one of them to create. And there's rules though. Number one, I cannot, under any circumstances, once I choose a monster, look up any tutorials on how to do anything with polymer clay or sculpting or anything. So no help. Two, I cannot look up inspiration. So once I pick a monster, I can't Google the monster, no Pinterest, no Instagram, no anything. I have to just use the book, this book, and the stuff in my brain. Those are the only things I can use. And the idea with that rule is that I'm not taking someone else's style. I'm kind of using my own style, kind of shaping it into what I think this thing should look like. So this is also me trying to come up with my own style of creating figures. Third, I have these little shelves up here, and they have to fit on that shelf, and they must be in proportion with each other. So in other words, the same scale. They have to be on the same scale because they're all going to be in the same universe, right? So they have to be the same scale. I hate when things are not the same scale with like figures and miniatures. Looking at you, mini brands, and your cereal that's the same size as your chocolate syrup. What kind of chocolate syrup do you have that's the size of a box of cereal? That's one little box of cereal. Their proportions are just way off. So like if I'm doing a person-sized creature and then there's a giant creature, they need to be relative to each other. So with those rules in place, I started this challenge, and I hope you guys enjoy. I had a lot of fun and a lot of frustration, but a lot of things could have been resolved looking up tutorials, but this was indeed a challenge, but I got it done. So enjoy. Oh, and real quick, if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. And even if you don't like it, subscribe. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps out the channel, and it helps out me. And if you turn on all notifications, you'll get to know the next time I do something like this and other crazy things. All right. Enjoy. Okay, so here's the book, The Ultimate Encyclopedia of Mythical Creatures. As you can see, we got from A to Z, a whole bunch of really cool monsters. There's some pages in the middle of just random monsters that are colorful. We've got like griffins and Lestrygonians, sea serpent. Some of them have like more than one page and multiple illustrations. Some are just one page, one illustration. Here's the index, a list of all the monsters and phrases in the book. And as you can see, my favorite monster, Zeus, is totally my favorite mythical creature. My second favorite is got to be Egypt. That's my second favorite mythical creature. So yeah, as I just noted sarcastically, there are entries in here that aren't actually monsters, or mythical creatures, so I wrote them all out, and turns out there's exactly 90 of them. So yeah, 90 mythical creatures in this book. So that's a lot of stuff to choose from. Got a whole list. So I went to a random result number generator thing, and our very first one is number 76. 76. I don't know what that one is, so let's go back to the list and take a look. Alright, scrolling. Alright, 76. Satyr. Seriously? That's my first mythical creature? A satyr? Okay, let's do this. Okay, so right now I am making the armature for the piece, and I have never made an armature before, so this was a bit of a challenge for me. I mean, I knew in concept, 2 arms, 2 legs, body, but you know. Look, he's doing the splits. Okay, making him go up and down. Just trying to make sure it's nice and tight so it didn't move around while I was adding the clay. Alright, so here I'm trying to make the little hooves for our satyr. Just trying to make him a little bit, you know, I figured it would make it stand. I didn't realize, of course, that, you know, he would need to be put on a, like, little stand or platform. It just didn't occur to me. I thought, oh, I can make a freestanding two-legged figure. No, it's really, really hard to do. You can make a freestanding four-legged figure or a three-legged figure. That's why we have stools that have 3 legs, but not 2, because it's really hard to make them stand up on their own like that. I wasn't thinking. I was like, I can make him stand on 2 legs if I'm really careful. Most of the sculpting process is me just trying to get him to stand up on 2 legs. Anyway, I chose a nice kind of darker brown for his legs, fur, goat half. I don't know the right way to say that. Anyway, I'm just trying to work the clay, get it like an even thickness, and then I'm just wrapping it around. I didn't really bother trying to make it absolutely perfect because I knew I was going to have to seal it and wrap it around the legs and shape it to make legs anyway, so yeah. I'm just trying to get rid of the seams, smooth it out, make it look like, you know, one piece of a leg and not a, I don't know. Also, right now they just kind of look like pants rather than part of his actual body, so I'm gonna fix that later. I know I'm just giving him a butt because he just looks like, well, what he is, a stick with some clay on it, so I'm just giving him a nice bootay. Alright, so I had to go get all my tools, get my smoothing tools. Alright, so I smoothed him out, and then I'm recording after I smoothed it out because I honestly it took a really long amount of time. And this video is already insanely long. Sped up times 4. That's right, you're seeing the sculpting process sped up, not times 2, times 4. Alright, so there's his little tail. I would realize later that I would need to take the tail off, and because I would squish it while I was moving him around trying to sculpt the other parts of his body. I think one of the reasons this figure was so difficult to sculpt is just because it was so freaking tiny and doing details this small. So not only was I doing something I'd never done before, but I was doing it really, really tiny. So it was like a real challenge for me because I'm trying to think of techniques that I've never used. I'm doing it on a thing I've never done before, a shape I've never done before. So I challenge myself, as I said earlier, to not use any, and I mean any, tutorials or inspiration from anywhere other than the book in my own brain, which meant that I had no clue how to shape hands or to shape a head or do eyes properly, just what I already known. I know now, because after I finished making this figure, and I finished this challenge, I went ahead and watched videos about the proper sculpting techniques for making eyes and heads, so if I ever do get a humanoid figure again, because there's quite a few mythical creatures in the book that have humanoid figures, I could just, you know, do it and not spend so long on it. Like I said, this figure just took way too long just because I didn't know what I was doing, and I'm horrible at drawing, so instead of drawing out a design, I kind of just was like, oh, I have an idea what I want him to look like. Let's just go from there. You don't have to necessarily draw out your sculpture beforehand, but a lot of sculptors do because it kind of helps you with like proportions and sizes and all that important stuff. Me, it was just like I kind of knew the right ratio of like leg to torso and like head to body and how all that should be. but it was kind of, I don't know what I'm doing. So right now I'm just giving him a chest. I'm smoothing out his back, hiding the seams. And then I thought long and hard about whether to give him nipples, and I decided, yeah, we'll give him nipples. I don't think that's too crazy. We're not like doing something super inappropriate, giving him some anatomically correct pecs, carving out his chest muscles. See, I thought about giving him a beer belly, but I'm just like, no, let's make him, he lives in the wild, he's running from stuff, let's make him, fit and active. Trying to smooth out the edges, so trying to do because whenever you have your arms kind of straight out, you can see like where your shoulder blades meet your back, that kind of area. All right. I am ready to start on the head. Just do my best to get it the right head shape, but not going too hard because I still have to stick it on the form. I knew it would squish it a little bit, pushing it on there. Alright, and then I'm smoothing it out, merging it together so you can't tell. Blending is what the official term is called. Blending it. Always sounds like I'm trying to make a smoothie. But unfortunately, this is not a smoothie. It's a Seder. Seder smoothie just sounds gross. Okay. Just trying to get the creases in his head and his neck. Trying to make them look like connected, but still two separate pieces and not a head just sitting on top of your shoulders. You have a neck, right? So I'm just making sure I give him a neck. Alright, and I'm trying to smooth it out. Normally I wear gloves when I sculpt because I have very deep fingerprints, and this is a thing, people can have deeper fingerprints. Mine are so deep, they leave such horrible fingerprint marks that I cannot get them out with alcohol or clay softener. They just don't come out. So I generally try to not use my fingers when I do these kinds of things. But honestly, at this point, I like I said, I was doing something I'd never done before, and I'm not really planning on selling these. They're just a personal challenge to myself. So I felt fine if there's like a little bit of fingerprints on there, because low-key fingerprints on finished pieces bother the crud out of me. I cannot stand them. So if you ever see a fingerprint on any of my stuff that you buy from me, just know that I am so sorry. Okay, anyway, smoothing it out, getting it nice and even. And I'm also trying to get his muscles, because when you have calves, right? So I'm trying to, but also he's not, lower half isn't human, it's goat, so I have to do like goat legs, but they're also like sort of human legs, because he doesn't have 4, he has 2, so they would have developed muscle similarly, I guess. I don't know. Okay, so now that I have everything pretty smooth, and I'm trying desperately to get him to stand up on 2 legs, because I still haven't realized, and I wouldn't realize until after I pulled him out of the oven, that I would need to put him on a stand. But, oh well, you live and you learn. Alright, so now I think I'm adding the ears. Yeah, ears. So I'm kind of giving him goat ears, because he's half goat, half human. So, goat ears. I'm smoothing out his nose. Oh my gosh, his nose. I struggled with the nose so much. Like, So what happened was that I initially made his nose a little bit too big. I wanted him to have a big nose, but just in proportion to the rest of the face, it stuck out like way too far. And I'm giving him nostrils. Like, at this point, he's just all nose. His face is just all nose. Alright, so I cut out the part of me making just changing his nose for like an hour or so. So I made him some little horns, and I just stuck the horns on. I just shaped some black into some cones, and then I kind of rolled one end really thin, and then I curved it, and then I just melted it on. You see his little ears. I'm just giving him some nostrils and smoothing out his nose again. Oh my gosh, I spent way too long on this face. It just didn't look right. I tried to make his face superhuman, but I remembered, oh, he's not human, he's a satyr, so I can make his features a little bit like flatter, like a goat's. I tried to give him kind of like a snout, sort of. So like his mouth and nose would be kind of more pronounced than the rest of his head, and his eyes would be kind of slanted sideways. I don't know. I just thought that would be cool. Alright, now I got some black clay that I'm putting into the clay extruder, and I'm just going to push it through, and then I'm going to cut it off, and voila, he's got some hair now. I tried to shape that and messed it up, and I'm just like, nah, so I got rid of that, and then I tried again. Now this part of his hair, I kind of took off each little strand individually and curled it up so he would have like curly black hair. So I made like each of his curls individually and stuck them on. This was a very, very slow and time-consuming process. Little bit of a nightmare, to be honest. I eventually got everything on, but it was just, so not fun. Just curling away. And I kept thinking to myself, these look okay, and I'll bet they'll look even better when he has a whole head full of them. And for some ungodly reason, I decided to give him a mullet. I don't know. Maybe I just decided that mullets were the hairstyle satyrs would have. I mean, I've never met a satyr, and I don't think you've met one, so maybe mullets are the signature hairstyle of satyrs. We don't know. They may be rocking a mullet. My guy sure is. You know what? I'm gonna stand by the mullet. I'll stand by it. It does make him unique. It gives him a nice sort of wildish look. Alright, I give him a little goatee, because he's part goat. Ha ha ha. And they do show satyrs with goatees in some of the images, so goatee it is. Alright, now I'm making him, I think this is where I made him some eyebrows. Oh no, this is the hands. Ugh, I hate making hands. Oh no. Yeah, I am just horrible at hands. I am not ashamed to say I suck at making hands, especially hands this freaking tiny. They look like just sausages. And it's because they're so small. It's so hard to smooth them out into the right shape. It's just, oh, they look just awful. The hands alone just give me so much anxiety. These things are just awful. I hate them. Be grateful you're not seeing this part. I mean, you're gonna see them in a minute, but still, hands. I hate hands. Hate them. I loathe them. I can't do them. I can't make them. And that makes me upset. Alright, so I'm putting his hand onto his arm and trying to, like, pose it so it looks like a kind of a normal way you'd hold a hand. And I have him kind of, like, looking, like, around, like, what was that noise? That was the pose I was kind of going for. Like, you know, when you're walking somewhere and it's like, wait, guys, I thought I heard a noise. That's the kind of pose I was kind of trying to get him to have. You know, like, hands would go out, like, wait. Shush, be quiet, Ted. I thought I heard a human. I swear, I've got to look up a video on how to make hands, because I know it's part of a challenge to myself to not watch tutorials, but like, I really need to learn how to make hands, because there's got to be a better way to do this. I tried like 3 different ways. I tried rolling out the fingers and then adding them on to like the palm. I tried doing an even layer of clay and then carving out the hand. I tried just shaping it from like a ball. I tried everything, and none of the techniques that I think would work made a believable hand, which leaves me to believe it's probably just my skill level. I lack the skills required to make believable hands. I know they're a part of the body that a lot of artists struggle to draw. That and really super uber realistic eyes. Anybody can do anime eyes. I can do anime eyes, but it's like when you're doing hyper realistic stuff, it gets pretty intense. Okay. And obviously I'm not trying to make him super ultra realistic. I'm just doing kind of a, I don't know, just like a realistic like figure. Like a cross between like an anime and like a video game maybe. He needs to be believable, but like kind of obvious that he's not a real person. I mean, I guess you could have figured that out. There aren't like a lot of real satyrs walking around. I mean, I guess if you said yes to that question, then 1, that wasn't a question, and 2, I'd want to know where you live that you're running into satyrs. Alright. I also need to think about repositioning my camera because I do a lot of stuff off screen. I guess it's just where I was sitting. Maybe I need to slide my chair over. Because I kept moving everything closer to my face so I could actually see what I was doing for the tiny, itty-bitty, teeny tiny details I was working on. And it just got really, really hard at some points. I think right now I'm finishing up the face things. And then I went and redrew a lot of the contours and stuff on his chest because I smushed it while I was working on his face and his hair. Oh, and now I think I'm adding all the hair. Or have I started the hair yet? I don't know. Or am I just smoothing him out and trying to get rid of the fingerprints? Oh, right now I'm doing fingerprint removal. Because, like I mentioned earlier, I just make the worst fingerprints on my pieces. Alright, now I'm re-adding the tail back on because it needed to get added. Alright, so there he is with all the fur drawn on him. With hair all attached. There he is. Here he is after the oven, put on his little stand. Here he is with his eyes and his outline on his chest painted. Yes, I know, I went too dark on his chest. It wouldn't be that dark. That's the only shade of paint I had, and I could have lightened it up with white, but here we are. I made his eyes way too big. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I was like doing so well. I got his body so nice, and then I just messed up the paint job so just bad. But I still think he looks okay. And then here he is all resined up to protect him, make him nice and shiny. I think the resin was a little bit of a mistake because it made it a little bit more difficult to see the like fur details I put on his legs. So I did some really nice fur details on his legs that are just almost impossible to see now. And then you can kind of see him. And then you can see the horrible paint job on his chest and just the eyes. I don't know what I was doing with the eyes. It looks like just a very bad factory-made piece. Anyways, my first humanoid figure